Hello, fellow risk takers, and welcome to my worst investment ever. Stories of loss to keep you winning. This is a brief update on the interview I did with Douglas Tengdin, and we talked about the government can take anything away. So, Douglas, his background, he's Chief Investment Officer of Chartered Trust Company, where he worked since 2000. He graduated from Dartmouth College in 1982. He was CFA, Society of Vermont's founding president. His first job in the investment industry was as a mailboy and runner in 1974. They don't have those jobs anymore. His daily blog is the Global Market Update, which you can see at the Global Market Update. And just type it into your browser. So what was his worst investment ever? Well, it was not so much terrible as it was memorable. And he's going to give you a quote at the end of this that you're going to want to put up on your wall. In 1988, he was in his late 20s and was a bond trader for a mid-sized U.S. bank. He built models to help the banks trade treasuries. He had success with these models and was hired to help manage the bank's treasury department. The bank let him trade real funds, and he made early wins. Suddenly, in August, Greenspan, the Fed chairman at the time, raised the discount rate. The Dow Jones ticker machine sounded the alarm. Tick, 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 tick. We don't have those either. His modest profit in 4-year treasuries turned to a big loss. He had a severe and instant emotional response. You remember that response when you've just had something terrible go wrong and you just all of a sudden break out in a sweat? His mind was racing. He felt like a brick dropped into his stomach. Wind sucked out of his lung, numbness in his limbs. He closed his position that day. But colleagues cheered him up and said, "It's early in the month, you can make it back." And he did. So what lessons did he learn? The government can take anything away. Government policy is unpredictable, and you may think you have a way to predict it, but you can't. Size matters. Position size, that is. Douglas's position size was manageable. He hadn't taken an outsized position. Also, we don't know the future. We invest based on forecasts, but we have to be humble about those forecasts. And he reminds us to remind ourselves continually that we don't know the future. If you think this will never happen again, get out of investing. As a disclaimer says, all investment carries risk. So my takeaways from this discussion was that that's the way investing goes. Sometimes you just have to be prepared for such a loss. There are things that you cannot fully prepare for. Sizing your position, though, protects against big portfolio losses, and this is a key, that sizing of the position. If you put a big position on, you could lose big. On top of the bad news, government can also lie or mislead. I saw that in the financial crisis in 1997 that happened in Asia. Be very careful if your investment case is reliant upon the government. So, what was his actionable advice? Well, Douglas created a phrase that's on his wall. Diversification is the compliment that humility pays to uncertainty. He says people have to be humble in this business. If not, the markets are going to humble you. The rest of his actionable advice is you have to diversify because the future is uncertain. Answer to uncertainty is diversification. That could be time diversification, position diversification, mental diversification. All of these types and more are critical to investment success. So my worst investment ever, 6 main categories of mistakes. This is number 2, failed to properly assess and manage risk. Subscribe and never miss another story of loss to keep you winning at any of these of your favorite downloadable places. Click the link in the description below to listen to the story, and I'll see you on the upside.